Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And that's a quote by Steve Jobs. So, welcome again to The Profitable Photographer. Just a reminder, I'm always looking for great guests. So, if that could be you, and don't worry, you don't have to be like the most highly profitable. Just have something to share. Or if there's somebody you would love to have on the show, especially if you can connect us, that would be great. You can go to lucydumascoaching.com to grab a couple of gifts on marketing. And that's it. And I'm so excited today to share and have a conversation with the lovely Lori Poole. And let me tell you about her. First of all, she's a master photographer twice. um, and she's been a friend for a long time. She used to live in San Diego. And when she moved away with her husband, Jeff, we cried big tears. And she has been a full-time photographer, now specializing in boudoir, with over a decade of experience both behind the camera and in the sales room.
Hmm.
And she and Jeff co-founded Photo Insights, which is their coaching training company where they help entrepreneurs like you, I assume, listening, have profitable, sustainable businesses. I like that word profitable. And she says, we're going to ask about this with a no fluff, psychology backed approach that turns overwhelm into strategy and guesswork into growth. She makes success feel doable and empowers her coaching students to thrive both creatively and financially. And welcome, Lori. Thank you for saying yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Why, sure. I had a good idea last week, and here you are.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little about your journey over the last 10 years, and I was like, ooh, I want to get a little summary so people know your journey.
Yes.
So in the 2 or 3 minutes, can you share
Yeah.
on that?
So when Jeff and I started our studio together back in 2010, we had a lot of the photography stuff figured out. We already knew basic posing, lighting. I had some great mentors in San Diego, and he had some great mentors here in Wilmington. And we thought the same as what a lot of photographers think of, like, if I nail my art, then the money will come. So like it's like build it and they will come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us think that when we first start out, and we spend all of our time learning, camera settings and posing and lighting and learning how to be better artists. But there is the trope of the poor starving artist for a reason, because so many of us love art and we hate business and we hate numbers and we shy away from it. And that's basically what Jeff and I did. So I think it was towards the tail end of 2010. We actually did a six-figure year, our first year in business, which is pretty good.
Oh,
But all that money went right out the door. We actually operated at a net loss, meaning that every dollar we brought in, we spent and then some. And that wasn't including paying ourselves. That was just, overhead and costs and everything else. So we started figuring out really quickly that losing money was not a good business plan.
not so much.
And yeah, and that we needed to really invest into learning and understanding business if we were going to survive this crazy world of photography. So we spent the next couple of years really digging into the business. We worked with some local mentors here. We worked with PPA, and we really just spent a lot of time learning the numbers side of things. And after that, everything turned around. 2010, we were living in our studio because we couldn't afford a place to live, and we were this close from shutting our doors. And we went from that to within a couple of years, we moved out of our studio, got ourselves an apartment. We're now homeowners, so obviously that trend keeps going up.
Mhm.
But we are set to conclude our best year in record in 2025. So we've really just spent all that time learning business, whether it's mindset, numbers, profitability, the psychology of sales, marketing, all of those things we've learned over the years have become so much more important than learning the art itself. Now, as you already mentioned, I do have my master photographer, I have my master wedding photographer. So, like, we do still focus on the art, but we found that, business is so much more important in being profitable.
Mhm.
So as we started, you know, on our journey of growth, we wanted to pay that forward because we wouldn't have gotten where we were if it weren't for the mentors who helped us along the way. And we realized that we wanted to help other photographers keep from making the same mistakes that we did. And so, as we were coming up as educators, we focused all of our education efforts on teaching the business side of things. And that's basically how Photo Insight was born.
Nice. So, what I love about what you shared is, first of all, we all start somewhere, knowing what we know and not knowing what we don't know.
Yes.
And that great photography, or even just decent photography, doesn't immediately cause the world to beat a path to our door. That it's pretty evident as we go along in this business that we need to learn some things about the business. And I think people would amazed if we if you knew secrets of people who you may admire or that win awards that are not profitable, that are
Yeah.
struggling. And the people, like, I have some friends that sometimes I see their posts on Facebook and I think, how did you not learn lighting? That have 5, 10, $20,000 sales and
Absolutely.
aren't and they're doing good marketable work.
Yeah.
I'm just a little critical because for me it's all about lighting the face. So if I see somebody that's anyway, I don't want to go into that.
Right.
Too judgy. Anyway, so I love that. And the thing I also appreciate is you have experience. So as you're giving back to photographers, it's coming from your background rather
Yes.
than, geez, I'm not making money in photography. Maybe I can make money coaching. And I don't personally know anybody that does that,
Oh,
but
I do.
yes.
That is definitely, unfortunately, that is a thing in our industry.
Yeah, yeah. So we've said this over and over, we meaning my guests and I, that now I don't think somebody needs to necessarily still be working full time to be a good coach or mentor or teacher,
Mhm.
but to have walked the walk at some point.
Yeah.
So I love that about you guys. And I've seen all of this happen over the decade and a half or however, I don't know when you moved away, but
2000, we left San Diego in December 2009 and drove across country and ended up here in January of 2010.
mm,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it was like a New Year's trip across the country.
yeah. So maybe I've known you 20 years, possibly.
Yeah, that sounds
Yep,
about right.
yep. All right.
We're not that old. Shh.
No, but we've known each other all our adult lives, right?
Yes,
That would make
yes.
us, I don't know, fill in the blank.
Since we were kids.
That's
I mean, if
right.
it's been 20 years, right?
Well, when I look back on photos of me 20 years ago, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I was a lot younger then. Anywho,
Yeah.
so one of the things and one of the reasons I said, Lori, let me get you on this show right away is because right now, this minute,
Right now.
there is an event called the Vision Forward Summit.
Hmm.
And you're hosting 25 of the top educators, all focused on the business of photography. And so I wanted people to jump in on that right away. So is there something you can share about that before we get into the let's let Lori teach us something?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, so the idea behind the Vision Forward Summit was really um it's a natural extension of what I was just saying a few minutes ago about us, paying forward what we've learned along the way. Something that I think is really important that Jeff and I do every year is, as we're in Q4, like we are now, toward the end of the year, we look back on how this year went, what worked well, what we could do better, what do we want to change for next year. And it's not just a gut check, right? It's not just like how do we feel about how the year went. Like we really dig into the numbers. We see, did our costs change? Did our averages go up? Are we shooting fewer sessions but making more? Like we dig into all of that and really, do a postmortem, if you will, on how the year went. And then we use that to inform our plan and our goals for the next year. And so we thought, what better time than right now to host a business summit to get people in that mindset of, let's review how the year went, let's come up with plans for 2026. The goal is to help get everybody started on the right foot for 2026 so that they have their best year on record as well. So that's really what it was born out of. So I think something that's different about this summit is, as you mentioned, it's all business. We're not focusing on the art at all. This is we're going to meet you where you're at, right? So whether you're the most amazing artist or you're, just getting started, there's still going to be things for you to learn in how you can run your business better in order to be more profitable, which I know is one of your favorite words.
Yes, yes. And what I like is it two speakers a day that you can listen to
It's
for
two
24
speakers a
hours?
day. We run the summit for 14 days. So our goal when we set out was, 28 speakers. Um, I think we ended up on the high end of that, but then we had a couple of people that just because of logistics had to back out at the last minute.
Mhm.
But then actually after we started promoting the summit, which we only started promoting it 2 weeks ago, we actually had speakers reach out to us and say, I want in. Like,
Hmm.
is it too late? Can I join? So we lost a few, but we gained a few. And, all along the way, we never knew exactly what the number was going to be. So we just promoted it as 25 plus. But
Yes.
yeah, it's two speakers a day over the course of 2 weeks, all on business related topics. So we have some people speaking on mindset. We have people speaking on marketing. We have people speaking on pricing. We have people speaking on social media. We have one particular person. The fun part in doing this summit was obviously, Jeff and I have been teaching and speaking for a while. So we already have kind of our network of like friend speakers, but we wanted to reach out past that. So we just started doing, internet research and finding people that we had never heard of before. So it was really interesting to kind of come up with our curated list of speakers. But one of the speakers that we have, her talk is actually live today. It's Laura Rochelle, and she speaks on doing six figures in wedding photography with 15 or fewer weddings.
Mm.
And I just think that message is so refreshing because, Jeff and I, we came up doing weddings as well. And weddings have become such a hustle culture and, even some of the like photographers that are here in town with us, it was all about, I'm going to drop my price to undercut you because I want to do 52 weddings a year. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
I do not want to be working, every Saturday of the year or doing three weddings in a weekend. Like that's not the life that I wanted to build for myself. So I love her messaging, on you can do higher end weddings and, work less and make more and still make six figures. So
absolutely.
I love that messaging. Our other speaker
Okay.
today is Angela Shea. Yes.
Okay. So this is Wednesday that people are listening to this or Tuesday.
Okay. Hmm.
So just want to say a couple of things here. This is
Mhm.
going to be in the show notes if people are like, I was retouching or driving, I didn't get that down, but it's
Mhm.
visionforwardsummit.com.
Yes.
And if you're listening to this after speakers have already done their presentation, there is an amazingly affordable option of being able to listen to all of them. So
Yes.
um, I think that's what I wanted to have you share
Okay.
before I start asking you questions.
Yeah.
Um, is there any other little thing people need to know before,
Yeah,
besides
so
that it's
today, the day
fabulous?
that we're recording is Monday, December 1st. And so we start today, we go through December 14th. So 14 days of content. Obviously, as you mentioned, this won't go live until Wednesday. So there is rewatch access available if you do the VIP pass, which, as you mentioned, is insanely affordable for the amount of content that you're getting. So you're going to get replay access of all 14 days, all of the presentations. You also get access to I don't even remember how many pages it was, like multi-page workbook to kind of help you get the most out of all the presentations. And every speaker, just about every speaker gave a free gift with their presentation, but some speakers also gave a second free gift to those who upgraded to the VIP. So you get some bonuses in there. You also get some bonus offers from our sponsors. So just the VIP swag bag is, worth the price of admission, but obviously the big thing everyone's after is that replay access. So
Right.
worth its weight in gold for sure.
Yes. And normally my listeners know um, I don't do an advertisement or a promotion of something, but at the end of the year here, and this being such an amazing group of teachers and things, I just wanted to be sure to share that with my audience because I think it's a great way to help your profitability.
Yeah.
So that being said, I know people are like, hold on, listen to Lori, then go ahead and sign up later. So that you can get all the good stuff that she's going to share with us right now.
Yeah. And I
So,
think even if you're hearing this on Wednesday and you missed Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday speakers will still be live. They're live for a full 24 hours. So, you still have 12 full days of content, even if you stick with a free registration. So come
right.
and register, come check it out, enjoy the content, and then, if it feels like the right fit, upgrade to the VIP so you get that rewatch access for sure.
Yep, yep, yep. All right. So in your bio that you sent me, you
Hmm.
you said you take a no fluff psychology backed approach that turns overwhelm into strategy and guesswork into growth.
Yep.
So, if you were doing a TED Talk on that uh, topic, what the heck do you mean by that? What would your topic be about?
What does all that mean? It sounds really good though, doesn't it?
It does.
So back when you and I met, when I was in San Diego, I was actually going to grad school at San Diego State. I have my master's in psychology. So I have a background in psychology, and I feel like that has really informed my approach to sales. A lot of photographers, like we talked about earlier, photographers shy away from sales because our perception is that sales is pushy, that it's the used car salesman, or, no shade if this is how you operate your business, but some photographers do the like, as you say no to the images, I'm going to delete them. And for other photographers, that makes them feel really uncomfortable because it does feel like hard sales, right? So my approach is less on trying to be pushy and trying to push your clients into one package or another, whether it's through, a heavy tactic or, anything like that. I really just focus on like, how can we make this fun for them? How can we make them enjoy buying? Um, If you've ever been on a shopping spree, shopping is fun for a lot of people. People
Mhm.
enjoy being able to spend their money. They enjoy being able to treat themselves. And if we start thinking about it from that perspective, it becomes a whole lot easier to sell to our clients when we know that we can make the process enjoyable for them and that we don't have to resort to, heavy-handed tactics. So that's kind of the
How do you make it?
psychology side of things.
So how do you make it fun?
How do you make it fun? There's a lot of things that, like, as soon as I say them out loud, you're going to be like, well, that's obvious. But BOGO, buy one, get one type offers, like everybody loves a deal. If you've ever shopped at Bath and Body Works or you've ever shopped at Kohl's, you'll recognize that there are some places that make it fun for you to spend your money and they encourage you to spend more by rewarding you along the way.
Mhm.
That's like classic Pavlovian psychology of like, you get a treat every time you do something that I want you to do, right?
Mhm.
Kohl's gives you Kohl's cash. Bath and Body Works, they do like you buy two, get one free, but then if you spend $20, you get this extra gift. But then if you do that, you get this. And so they're constantly leading you to where they want you to go. So there's lots of ways that we can make it fun for our clients to shop and give them a little bit of freedom. This is kind of taking a little bit of a sidestep, but I actually don't have packages in my studio. I operate package free
Mhm.
and I allow them to pick and choose what they want. I put guardrails on that so that I don't have like, a 1 8 by 10 kind of sale.
Right.
Um, but I incentivize them to purchase more. So I offer little discounts along the way. I offer rewards, things like that.
So I'm thinking about because some of the places that you mentioned were not high-end luxury places.
Hmm.
However, high-end luxury brands like Lancome and even, now that's more middle. There's some
Hmm.
like really, really expensive cosmetic lines, and the purchase with purchase or the free with purchase that has hooked
They do
me
that all the time.
over the years.
Hmm.
Now, I tend to do some of that bonusing at the end because I do the in-person sales with a projector, and my goal is always wall art. And then, Lori, I use like if we can do this, keep all this wall art, I'm happy to bonus you a dozen smalls or something that when there's a psychology of well, I'm kind of thinking of push, pull, push. It might be a little different than that, but where you get anxiety when you're about to spend a significant amount. So
Hmm.
doing something that relieves some of that, like, oh, because they'll usually be like, holy cow, uh, those wall portraits are this much, and then I'm going to want other things. And then when I say, I am happy to gift you some other things, and oh,
Oh.
that anxiety goes down.
Hmm.
So I never thought of that as psychology. Do you know
Yeah,
about
it
push, pull,
absolutely is.
push? Do you know the?
No, I haven't heard that
All
before.
right. Oh, this is so good. Um, it's especially great if you're doing like a gift certificate, um, like an enter to win or a Facebook ad where they basically get a free session and a credit is I say as as I'm having the first conversation, there's a point where I'll say, most people invest an additional X besides their gift to get something larger for their home and this and that. Okay, so that creates a little anxiety. And then I say, this is the pull. However, you do not have to invest any more than your gift certificate. You're not obligated. And they go, phew, that's the pull. And then the next push is, however, I try to create, my plan is to create images that you absolutely can't resist and that you're going to be happy to write me great big checks. Now, I might not say it like that, but and that's psychology too, is
Yeah.
when we're, and it gives me some peace. I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling like, oh shoot, I'm being a little pushy, having something that just takes down the anxiety, and then also makes me feel good because I'm offering something. So
Mhm.
thoughts on any of that, or what other ways
Yeah.
to make it?
No, I love it. I think you're exactly on as far as like you're kind of listen, I've been in the South too long and they
Mhm.
love euphemisms down here. So, they talk about like how do you cook a frog? Apparently, you cook frogs live. I don't know. I don't eat frogs, but if you throw a frog into boiling water, it will immediately jump out.
Mhm.
So apparently, the way you cook a frog is you put it in cold water and you slowly turn up the temperature,
Right.
right? So you're kind of introducing that little bit of warmth when you say most people do this. You're getting them used to the idea, but then you're immediately taking away that stress so that now they can sit with it for a minute before you turn the temperature back up again.
Right.
I do some of that already kind of instinctively. I
Hmm.
don't think I systematized it quite that way. But when I'm doing my consultations, I walk them through like, here is starting pricing, so you can kind of stay on this low to middle end. We have some clients that obviously do quite a bit more. So, I'm
Hmm.
sort of setting that stage, but you don't have to make any of those decisions now. So I'm taking the pressure back off.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then I always tell them my sort of cheeky way is I say, listen, be prepared though that you're probably going to like more than you think, right? Because we're talking about boudoir.
Good.
Everybody's always concerned that they're going to, hate the images. So I'm setting the stage of like you're going to like more than you think. And, if you do and you have a hard time narrowing your images down to the minimum, sorry not sorry. And I laugh, and I kind
I
of
love
I
it.
make it a little fun, but I'm like, sorry not sorry if you love way more images than you thought because I want you to love these photos. I want you to love this experience. I want you to love this way that you're seeing yourself. So be prepared that if I do my job, you're gonna want more, than the minimum.
That's
So it's kind of the same thing. I never really thought about it quite that way, but yeah.
yeah. I'm thinking about the psychology of rising expectations
Hmm.
and how by you saying that, I'm starting to think, oh, other people think these are fabulous. So that ups you in my eyes,
Hmm.
the rising expectation. And I'm thinking
Hmm.
about, I used to be like my happy place as a junior high and high school was church camp. Uh, that week, I was the queen of the hop, preacher's daughter. It was nothing like school. I loved it. And it's all focused on love and music and all the good things. So later, I became a counselor. And I always told my girls that were in my group, or I told the group as boys and girls, guess what? And you're in the best group. Brad and I, everybody always just loves us and don't brag about it, but you're really lucky because you're going to love it. And by the end of the week, those kids felt like they were lucky they got in the best group. I
Hmm.
wasn't the best group, but but humble brag. That's what you did there was the humble brag, and that's a good psychology. Have you heard that term before?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Can you explain it a little better than I just did?
Um, yeah, and I think I hadn't thought about it in those terms. It is a little bit of, setting expectations and like, hey, I'm pretty good at what I do.
Mhm.
So I am putting that out there. The other, psychology bit that I'm putting out there is people do what people do. So if you say most people get more than the minimum, then you're
Right.
setting the expectation. You're still giving them the pull. You're giving them the relief of like, you can always fall back to the minimum. You can always fall back to that starter, that entry point. But most people love them so much that they do more.
Right.
And I'm kind of, yes, it's a humble brag, but I'm also putting it on them. So
Right.
instead of me pushing them to more, saying, you should get more, you should get more, let me do these shenanigans for you to get more. I'm just saying, if you love them, you're going to want more. So that takes me out of the position of being the bad guy or the pushy salesman of like,
Right.
I'm not telling you to get more. I'm just saying you're probably going to want. So it is a little bit it's a little bit of a dance, right? It is a little
Mhm.
bit of a sidestep, but I'm introducing the idea of you are in control. I'm not going to push this on you, so I am setting the stage for the fact that I don't do pushy sales, right?
Mhm.
And that they get to make the decisions, they get to buy what they love.
Um, I was just thinking of a question that started with how do you? Um,
That
okay,
happens to me all the time.
it's gonna it's gonna come back to me. So, humble brags to me are where you share something like when I'm showing the work and we're narrowing down, and maybe they're trying to decide between a few about what to have as their main piece
Hmm.
uh, over the couch or the fireplace. Then I will share with them the design elements that I see and some that I like. Like this one has the leading lines that start from the bottom left and go up, and then we walk around and follow your arms and your smiles, and we come back down. And I also like how there's color harmony. So I'm sounding, which is true that I'm an artist, but I'm communicating humbly how uh, in a detached way how this image and my own skills fit the fine art category.
Hmm.
So yes. Oh, I know what the how do you. A lot of people, I'm sure you found this in coaching and teaching, I found this a lot, are insecure.
Oh yeah.
So they don't think about like I can't brag because I've got nothing to brag about and who me and there's a lot of cultural pressure not to think you're too big for your britches or all of that. Do you have thoughts about how someone can gain the confidence to say things like what what you share with your clients?
Well, one thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning now, I'm actually working with a mentor now that's outside of the photography industry, but one of the things that she says is that you gain the confidence by doing the thing, right? So, and I talk to my boudoir clients about this as well. People always say, "Oh, I don't have the confidence to do a shoot," and I say, "Confidence isn't the prerequisite; it's the result." It's what comes after, right? And so if we wait until we have the confidence to do a thing, we're never going to do it, right? Because your
Mhm.
confidence comes from doing the thing and then looking back and say, oh, I did that. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind is like you'll never feel 100% ready. You'll never
Mm-mm.
feel perfect. That isn't a thing. My high school art teacher, I remember I was showing him a painting and I was like, I'm just not happy with it. Like, why am I never happy with my work? And he said, the day that you're satisfied with your work is the day that you're dead as an artist.
Mm.
So that made me realize like I don't have to be happy with it because I'm continuing to strive for more, right? And that's what these degrees are all about is like it gives you something to pursue so that you can keep moving forward. So you don't have to have the confidence to do the thing. But if you are trying to work on I like how to reframe your thought process. It is so easy for us as artists and even for us as business people to have imposter syndrome, right? It is so easy to look at somebody who has it all figured out. And I remember looking at people, like when I was just getting started, I'd look at people up on stage and be like, man, they just have. They have something special that I don't. Like they
Right.
have this magical talent that they were born with. They have some secret sauce that I don't have, and therefore I'll never have it. And that kind of catastrophic thinking keeps you in place. It keeps you where you're at. It prevents you from moving forward. And that's part of why Jeff and I are very open about our story. Like, hey, we were almost homeless. We're living in the basement of our studio because if we could go from that to where we're at now, then anybody else can, right? So try not to buy too much into the people that you're looking up to and thinking that they have something you don't. It's just they're further down their journey than you are, right? So rather than looking at that and saying I'll never get there, look at that as a goal, but then look at the things that you have done and, dissect what went well. Did you do more sessions this year? Did you finally move from digital to IPS? Like even if your first few sales appointments were a disaster, even if you don't have the knack of it, you took that step forward, right?
Mhm.
Did you successfully run a Black Friday sale? Today's Cyber Monday, we're coming off the heels of that. So look back at the things that you've done and find where your successes were and use that as a reference to see like, oh, I am growing, I am moving forward. Like maybe I'm not as far down my journey as some of these other people, but it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that I'm not moving forward and I'm not making progress. And
Right.
I think that too also gives you that confidence to keep taking that next step, to keep moving forward.
Right. I love that. I love that. When I'm teaching about IPS, the first, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had space for other speakers because I would have been like, Lori, I'm in. I can share about how I do my IPS uh, in the dark with my hands tied behind my
Well,
back.
listen, we're already getting people asking us when the next one is going to be. So,
Sign me up. Sign me up.
yeah.
One of when I start the program, I share the reasons why I think IPS is best, well, for clients, but also best for us. And the money part is actually the last piece. And it's the confidence when we sit down with clients and first of all, we hear their responses and they love them. I almost never have had a client that was just like, okay, I'll have that, please. They laugh, they cry, and then when they buy from us, rather than with, let's say, a sales approach where they get a bunch of digitals, you don't get to know what they love because they're just getting those. Even if you're doing in-person sales of digitals, you get that feedback. And also when you sit and you see your own work, it's confidence building in that setting because I don't know about you, but I get kind of detached where I'm looking at it not as the photographer, but as the person that is sharing and connecting with my clients. And together we're making decisions. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of my confidence came from the fact that people had to buy prints. They didn't get everything. And so I began to see, what they loved and what they felt and the impact it had on their life. And so that gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of satisfaction knowing I was making people happy.
Yeah.
I think I've seen this in Facebook groups that I'm in where people are like, I sent off the files and I haven't heard anything. Do they hate them? And I can't think of anything more empty for me than putting my heart and soul into a portrait session, sending it off, and then either just getting oh, that was great, or crickets. And the
Yeah.
people probably absolutely adore them, but but they're not, you know, they're not sharing it with me in a way. So anyway, but I love what you say about just do the darn thing. Get at it, get started. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, and, and truthfully, I don't know about you, but I'm nervous before every session. I think this is it. I'm really bad. I'm or I'm going to mess up or I'm going to miss my f stops or something. Like it's never 40 plus years later that edge never has gone away from me for
Mhm.
me. I think because of that desire to take the best photograph I ever have, that's always with me. Do you get that? Oh, Jeff is peeking through
Sir,
the
we're
back.
recording a podcast right now.
Do I need to pause for Jeff?
Yeah, just 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
All right, we're back. If you're on video, you can watch the little sliver of Jeff through the door. If you're listening, I probably edited all of this out. So, all right. So, um, yeah, wherever we were talking about doing the thing and all of that.
Yeah.
So, we're just about to wrap up. Anything else about the psychology aspect?
Oh gosh. I mean, we talked a little bit about the psychology aspect. The other part of that quote, though, is you were talking about like no fluff and actionable. And for me, I think that's really important as a chronic overthinker.
Mm,
If somebody gives me fluffy theory, but no action, I'm just left with sort of this, well, now what? Like give me the steps. Like I want the step by step, I want the play by play, like tell me what to do. And I think a lot of times when we're learning something new, and business skills are just that, they're skills that we have to learn. When we're learning something new, it definitely helps to have somebody break it down for you, not just give you theory. Like I remember one of the first discussions I had about pricing, it was just like, well, figure out how much you want to make in a year. What? Like, I need more
right.
detail than that. Like, I need you to break it down. Like, what does that mean? So I think, as we're learning new things, having it be a little bit more concrete, having it be step by step of first do this, then do this, and have something that you can actually put into action is really important. So as I'm mentoring photographers, that's always something that I focus on is I don't just give you theory, I give you examples and like, okay, now let's figure out how do we put that into place for your business? Because, maybe what works for me doesn't work for you, or what works for this other client doesn't work for you, or whatever. So we have to find a way to grasp the concept and then figure out how to put it into action for your studio so that it makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, or if you're not comfortable or confident or excited about a certain method of selling or pricing or whatever the case may be, then you're going to resist, right? You're going to find ways to sabotage your sales. You're going to find ways to not put things into action. So we focus on that just as much as learning the psychology and the theory. We focus on actual deployment and
Right,
making things actionable so they can move forward.
right, right. Uh, I do that with my clients as I'm selling. I have a
Mhm.
step-by-step process, and when they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many, I'll never decide," then I say, "You know what? I have a system. We're going to take it step by step. You only have to tell me yes, no, or maybe until the very end. So just sit back,
Yep.
buckle your seatbelts. I'm basically, I don't say I'm driving this bus or this rocket ship, but
Right.
basically it's about establishing the leadership and giving them that, having them surrender to the process. So I
Hmm.
love that you help people
Yeah.
that
But there
you're
has to be a
teaching.
process to surrender to, right? Like if you
Exactly.
just said, just let me know what your favorites are, like that's not a process. But
No,
as soon as you tell people, I have a system, I have a way that we're going to do this, that's where it immediately pulls that overwhelm down, where
right.
it pulls back that anxiety. And that's true, in the sales room, but it's also true like when we're working with photographers on reshaping their business.
Hmm.
It's always like, how do I even get started? Don't worry, we have a system. And
Right.
that's immediately like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I can relax. Like we're gonna get through this together, right?
I think our theme for today is
Yeah.
how to create, we want to create some edginess or a
Mhm.
little bit of tension, but then do the things that help them and us
Yeah.
relax into the process. Yeah, I love
Growth is
that.
always outside of your comfort zone, so there always is going to be that anxiety, but For me, I tend to be more anxious when I don't understand what's about to happen, or if
Yes.
I feel like there's not a system, right?
Mhm.
But if I decide I'm ready to grow, but what do I do? Anxiety. If I say, okay, I'm ready to grow, I'm anxious about it, but they say they've got a system, okay, I can work with that, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's where, we have to focus on that actionable part of things as well.
Right. Right. I love that. And you're just a treasure trove of support and information. And definitely, if I was trying to start a business or restart something, you'd be somebody that I would absolutely reach out to.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
on that note, can I put in a shameless plug?
w on something else, yes.
Yep. So you mentioned, if you were trying to focus on your business, I do actually have two business related classes coming up at Imaging USA. So
Yay.
one of them is an all-day pre-con, and we are focusing on business from soup to nuts. We do have a little bit of hands-on just because, it's going to be fun. But we are focusing on the business of boudoir, which, as you mentioned before, my specialty.
Hmm.
And then I'm also have a main stage platform class where we're focusing on, really just like the numbers side of things from, from shoot to sale. So it's a little bit more of a smaller, more focused topic. But again, that one's a 90-minute class versus the 8-hour one. So, I know you mentioned PPA a couple of times. So come see me if you're going to be in Nashville. Would
Yes.
love to have you.
And that's coming up in January.
Yep. Yep.
And
Coming up
PPA
soon.
is the Professional Photographers of America. If you haven't figured that out yet, or you're new in photography or new listening, because Lori, I'm always saying join PPA, join your state, join your local,
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
because
Join all the things.
it, I'm not self-taught, although I never went to school for photography or business, but I immersed myself in what is available still to us as aspiring and professional photographers and artists. And I highly encourage all of that. So, okay, just a quick reminder. First of all, if you want to get in touch with Lori, uh, the myphotoinsight.com is she and Jeff's uh, coaching education platform.
Mhm.
Remember, we've got this amazing summit going on, and it's visionforwardsummit.com. Now, if it's a year from now and somebody sends you an email that says, can I get those recordings? Uh, is that a possibility, or are we just right now 2025? Or you haven't thought about it?
That is a question that I haven't thought about the answer to yet, but I think it should be, right? Because what we're doing with the people who are doing the VIP access, we are actually building that into a courses area on our website. So you'll have like your own unique login where you can go
Mm,
and re-watch these. So that is going to be built and set up, and basically we would just need to grant them access to that particular course.
awesome.
So right now, while it's live, you watch it live directly, on the visionforwardsummit.com website. But after the summit is over, the replay access will be hosted in our courses.
Yay.
So
So
yes,
then you can just go to your what does your shirt say again? Oh, my
Photo
photo
Insight.
insight and my photo insight. Well, Lori, thank you so much. Everybody hang on. I'm going to do my quick wrap up after Lori and I have a little secret time together.
Well,
And
thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
yeah, it's been so great to watch you in your growth over the decades, geez, decades,
Shh.
getting through the COVIDs and all the things. And,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of people I've known that over these decades have aspired to grow and be successful that have not been able to put it together for whatever reason. So it's always inspiring for me to see somebody do what you and Jeff have done and then be giving back. And so this is something that you took this hour out of your time to give back to my listeners, and we are eternally grateful.
Well, thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. All right, here I am back all by myself. And it's so fun to have guests on that I'm friends with. I love making new friends too. So, reminder, if you want to be a guest or you know a great guest and you want to hook me up or even make a suggestion, I am always open to that because I got to keep this thing going, this podcast thing. So, one thing Lori mentioned that she didn't mention is that at the end of the summit is when the whole uh, suite of guests will be as a package on their website. So if you're signing on now, you get two a day, two a day, two a day until uh, it ends. Anywho, all right. So we talked about how to have a no fluff, psychology backed approach to sales and the importance of knowing how to run a business. And she talked about the ways to not feel pushy, but to make it fun. People actually like buying. And if we can create some things like a buy one, get one, or some other bonus or something else that makes it kind of relieves that pressure, then that can be good for us because then we don't feel like we're the pushy bad guy. And also, they don't feel it either. They feel appreciated. And we also talked about ways to share some things that I called, and I didn't make this up, a humble brag. So, for example, when you say most people find that after we do the session and design it, and we sit down together and see the images, they are kind of overwhelmed with choices and end up investing in lots more wall art than they really imagined. That sounds like an explanation, but in there is also saying people love what I do and they spend a bunch of money and you're going to love it too. And then we talked about how people can develop confidence. And what Miss Lori said was take action, do the thing. Um, I also think comparison is very destructive. It's good to be inspired by others, but to see what others are doing and feel like we are big losers and can't be as great as them, that is not helpful. And she talked about how the term no fluff means having a plan, having step-by-step actions. So in our businesses and how she and Jeff like to coach is to have step-by-step action steps. I know I just said that. And also with our clients, having action steps and letting them know that so that they can relax and enjoy. So that is everything for now. And I am so happy that you're listening. Hope you're still listening and hope you're having a wonderful December with all the holiday festivities that you love, love, love. Bye.